All right, we're live again. We're going to be going for another hour or so. And I thought it might be fun. I was going to do, let me go live here on Amazon real quick. So as you all know, we are in the midst of Prime Day. So I'm like doing these live streams and encouraging you all to, if you're looking for a deal, get the deal. So the deal right now, and again, I'm trying not to turn into the home shopping club, but there's actually some good deals out here. So the deal right now, which I think is worth investigating, is the Pixel 4, which is being liquidated, like $350 off liquidated. And the reason is that the new phone, the Pixel 5, is on the horizon. So this is the Pixel 5. I can't show you more than the phone at the moment. I'm under embargo. And this is the new phone, but the old phone is still very good. So I think if you're, looking for a good deal on a phone, this might be worth investigating. I've got a security update going in right now. I just upgraded it to Android 11. And what's great about the Pixel phones is that, here, I'll go out to the main menu here. What's great about the Pixel phones is that it's pure Android. This is what Google intended it to look like. And this one has some rather neat features to it. So I thought I would maybe look at a couple of those features, even though this one is not new, certainly not new, but it is something that we can play around with. And actually part of what I wanted to do here, because I'm an iPhone person primarily, yep, we just upgraded it. So I've had this for a while. So by the way, this came in free of charge from Google a while back. And this is the Pixel 4, not the 5. So let's make that clear. And if anyone in the chat can remind me to remind people about that. So the new one is a little different. The bezels are different. But this one is still, I think, a very good phone, especially for the price point that it's at right now. This is the white one, and this is the XL edition. So this one's going to be a little bit larger than the non-XL. So that's what it looks like in my hand. It's pretty big. And then this is the Pixel 4a. So this is the lower cost phone, which is actually also a very good phone. I have it in the thing down below. But this one is not the one that's getting sold today. This is the one. So what I thought I would do, if anyone's interested, is just take questions about the Pixel 4, because this is like one of those one-day deals. And if you're looking for a phone, this is not a bad phone. It's actually a really nice phone. I reviewed it about a year ago. If you're on the product listing, you should see my review down below there. So definitely have a look at it. But again, I think it's a really decent phone. And there's a couple of things I wanted to play around with on here. I just got to look for a couple of websites that I can pull up, because they have like some gesture controls on here. And I just have to remember how to do them. So let's take a look at that. And we'll kind of poke through some of those here. Because I think what you can do, let's see if I can make it work here. I think you can like grab your hand and just like wipe it across to do this. It's kind of a gimmicky thing, and it doesn't seem to be working at the moment. So I got to look and see exactly how to get that set up. But I was very happy with the performance on this one. And what I can do actually is pull up a game or two, and we can just look at some of that stuff. I'm not even sure what we want to do. I figured I would just pop on and take some questions. So if you're watching on Amazon right now, have a look. Now I also got the official case that came with it. So it actually looks cooler on the inside than it does on the outside. And this is the official Google Pixel 4 case. It's got a nice fabric-y texture on the back. And yeah, so the camera system is great on this. So we could take a picture real quick. So let me put my coffee mug over here, and I'll switch to my other view. And so you've got, all the usual stuff here. Let's go grab the camera. And so what we can do is do our usual regular photos, but you also have the portrait mode. And it's doing a lot of this computationally. It is taking some data from the other camera to kind of get it figured out. But after you take the picture, we can jump in here and we can actually make adjustments to it. So let's pull up that shot I just took. And this actually syncs up with my Google Photos, so all the photos that I'm taking on my iPhone also show up in here too. So if I pull this up, we can go to my overhead view. And again, I'd love to get some feedback on folks on what you want to see here. Yeah, this is an OLED screen, and it's really nice. I mean, this is like a flagship phone, and although it is not the current phone, there's a new one coming out, of course. It is actually, I think, very good for what it is. And the camera's great. They have a great night vision mode. I got to find the pictures that I took with it, because I did take a bunch of shots with it when we did the review initially. And I'm just talking about it now because it's on sale, and it's a pretty good deal. So you can see it's pretty good at getting these clean edges on here and stuff. So like the portrait mode is good. Everything about it is it's just a good, solid phone, and it performs well. So I think those are some of the things that I like about it. So Naomi was asking about the screen on here. Oops, wrong button. Let me pull up the other one here. This is the one. So it is an OLED, yeah. And it's a nice OLED. And let me get the resolution on here too. I'll pull that up in a minute. Yeah, I wish I could find my night photos that I took on here because they're really good. So the other thing it's got is this cool night vision mode. And I can't do it now because we're in the studio lights. But what you can do with it, let me see if I can track these photos down. What you can do with it is take these like long exposure shots, and I found it to be among the best I've seen on a smartphone. And again, I just got to find the shots that I took with it. You know what I could do? I could copy the photos that are on the phone itself. Let me do that real quick. I'm just going to grab these and throw them onto my hard drive in the other room here. Actually, I've got a hard drive right here, although it doesn't support that yet. Let me grab I'm just going to copy these files over real quick. And let's take a look. Yeah, so yes, there is a new phone coming out, but this one's still good. And I think for a lot of consumers to get a flagship phone, for $350 off, which is what's going on right now, I think that's a pretty good deal. So yeah, let me just copy these files off. I'm kind of doing this like haphazardly because I just got in the Oculus Quest, which I think we're going to look at tomorrow. I was going to stream that, but I don't have a lot of time because it's getting to be later in the day. So I figured we would talk about this phone, just given that there's a deal out there. I know you all like good deals. So let me go over to the phone here and upload my photos that I took a while ago, because I'm pretty sure I still have all the photos on the phone. Yeah, I do, as a matter of fact. Here they are. Okay. So I could probably browse them this way. Yeah, there's some good ones here. So let's see if I can grab, oh yeah. Yeah, because we got some really good ones on here. So let me grab the file manager, and I think I could probably see those photos that way. So what happens is it merges all your photos with the Google photo system. So all my photos are all kind of mixed together. So we're going to just go on here and find the file manager, and then we'll pop around. Here we go, and we'll see what we've got on the phone itself. Okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. So let's have a look at some photos that I shot with the night vision mode. And this is a feature unique to the Pixel phone. And here, check it out. That's with the phone. Isn't that cool? So we got these like really, and this was like I think probably like a 30-second or a 1-minute exposure. So what you have to do is you have to get, and by the way, the Pixel 4a now does this too. So what you have to do is get the phone locked down on a tripod. And what it will do is detect the evening that you're in darkness, and if it knows that it's not moving, it will give you the option to run a long exposure. And what's neat about this is that you're not seeing, now granted, if you had an SLR, this would look better. But you're not seeing a lot of star trails here, so it's actually, it's taking long exposures and multiple images, and then it's doing some computational work to get everything kind of in line here. It's really nice. Now that's an airplane that was flying through at the time. And then this here is the Milky Way. Isn't that cool? So that's the night vision. It's the astrophotography mode. So it's pretty good. So that is a lot of, that's just neat. So I took some other ones here too. This one, you know, it's just kind of some stars. But what's amazing is that when you do, if you've never done astrophotography before, when you start playing around with it, it'll fascinate you because you'll see stars in the sky that you haven't seen before. Isn't that crazy? So it's just like there's so much stuff there that you just can't see with your eyes, and you just let the phone kind of do its thing. Now they also have a handheld mode. This is nothing, you know, novel or innovative. Well, it's innovative, but it's not, you know, something unique to this phone. But it can also do handheld long exposure shots. So this was out in that same evening, pretty dark out. And the iPhone will do this too. But you can see it does draw out a lot of detail and color. And this was probably taken last year around this time, I think. So it's pretty cool. So I like that quite a bit. David Martin Graff has a question about external hard drive space. He's wondering what's a good price per terabyte. And I guess it's a matter of what you're looking for. So if it's an SSD, you can get a terabyte for about $100 and $120. I think the new SanDisks that we looked at recently, or are in the process of looking at, sell for about $110, $120 for a terabyte, or half a terabyte. I think it starts at 110 for 500 gigs, and I think the terabyte was like 140, 150, which I think is a good price for a terabyte SSD. But of course, you could spend $80 and get 2 or 4 terabytes on a spinning mechanical drive. So it's a matter of how much performance you want, really, I think, is what it comes down to. Now this has face recognition, so when I look at it, it can unlock and get us back in. So that's pretty neat. Let's see what else I took with it here. I'm just going through some of my old photos. And then I went to a little, this is back when we could actually go places. They had a little party in New York City, so I went to that. That was fun. And then I think I've got some other examples here too. Yeah, so the other thing that I noticed about this is that it does a really nice job cleaning up the portrait mode photos. And if you watch my review, you'll see me compare this to the iPhone. So it just smooths things out, it cleans things up. And this is all from the portrait mode. This is not an SLR. So even non-faces, it's able to kind of discern what's in front and work with it that way. My poor daughter was not happy with me, so I was taking some more of her pictures. So it's a great camera. It really is. I mean, it was a major improvement over the prior one. What it lacks, and the same thing is lacking on the new Pixel 5, is that it's only a 2-camera system here. So you don't get like the super wide-angle lens, but you get, you know, I think you get pretty good pictures on there. So it's a pretty powerful little phone. So that is that. It does support the Google Assistant. It just now the way it works on this phone is you squeeze it. So if I wanted to, so watch, if I squeeze it, tell me the weather in New York City tomorrow, and it will give me the weather. Watch this, I can even do something more fun. Turn off the studio lights. Isn't that neat? So it's all tied in with the Assistant. So everything you have in the Assistant, it will work that way. Turn on the studio lights. Done. Now this brightness is, I have another bulb over there. That's what it's controlling on the brightness side. And then because it's logged into my account, it's able to pull up additional features for my account versus others, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Pretty neat. Like I said, I think I was just looking on, you know, I was looking to see, because I didn't get like a list of things that were going to be available on Prime Day ahead of time. So I've been looking around just to see what I have that I can kind of demo and answer questions for, because the deals are there. So right now, there's 2 versions of this phone. There is the Pixel 4, which is the smaller one. So the Pixel 4, this is the 5, but the Pixel 4 is about the size of this 5 right here. And then this is the XL edition, which is the larger phone with the larger screen. And both of these are on sale. I think the 4 is $549 right now, and the XL, if I'm not mistaken, is $649. And so this is about 150, 200 bucks less than the new one, and it's also a pretty big reduction in price. And I'm sure they're looking to get rid of some stuff. So it is cool stuff. B Tababa just popped in, and yeah, I'm going to be doing some more streaming because I've got some stuff to test out. So tomorrow we're going to do the Oculus Quest. Probably sometime in the morning I'll pop on before lunchtime. So I'll probably do 1 or 2 more streams as Prime Day is going on here. But I just wanted to pop on when there's stuff of interest. So let me see if I can get that sensor working here. I think that was one of the things that was kind of a gimmicky thing, was the sensor. So that one did not go over as well. But it's a good phone otherwise. Let's take a look here, see if I can find how to get that sensor activated. Yeah, I covered all of this in the review when I did it. So let me take a look at the specs here. So this one is now running Android 11. So you'll get updated, I think, for another 2 or 3 years. 6.3 OLED display, 6.3 inch OLED, really high quality display. 3040 by 1440 is the resolution, and it runs at 90 hertz. And you can't appreciate this watching the stream because I'm only streaming out at 30 frames per second. But when you're scrolling through pages, like everything feels like the phone is faster than it is because it has the display running at 90 hertz. So it's updating and refreshing the display much faster than most phones. So most phones will be, less non-flagships, let's say, will be at 60 hertz. This one's at 90, so you get a little bit more. You get a little bit more fluidity to the experience. So it just is very responsive, less latency on the touch display. And that's been one thing over the years that I've noticed with some of the Android phones is that they tended not to feel as responsive as the iPhone did in the past. But now this one, it just feels, it was amazing when I first started playing with it, like how good it felt. And what's funny is that this is not the current one now. Like the Pixel 5 is out, I think, next week. You can actually pre-order it right now on Amazon. But this one, I mean, we're at a point, I think, with mobile technology, and I've talked about this, where I feel like we've hit a point where each year's innovation is not mattering as much to consumers. So, if you're a casual consumer who's using your phone for phone calls and taking some photos or whatever, there's not a huge light year difference from one year to the next. And that's a great example here. This phone is still very relevant, I think. Now watch this. See how my hand is moving over this and it's detecting it? So there's a radar sensor on the front of the phone, and it detects proximity. So as I move my hand across here, the background is kind of adjusting to my hand movement. Isn't that cool? I mean, I haven't found much of a use for this radar feature, but this is what it does. I think when you're in the web browser, I just can't get it to work right now. You apparently can like flick your wrist and go back and forth to different pages, but you can't do stuff in the air like they were thinking you would. So sometimes I don't think this feature is in the new one either. I think they took it out. So it's one of these things where it's like a gee whiz, can we make it work? But there you go. This has a Snapdragon 855 chip, which is not the highest end processor, and they kind of dinged the Pixel 4 at the time for not having the most advanced processor on it. But again, to be honest, like, do you really need that depending on what your uses are? I mean, I think for everything that I've seen with this phone, the 855 is fine. I mean, it's going to be a lot faster than some of the others. I'll pull up some benchmark scores here in a second too, so you can see exactly where it stacks up against other phones. I can't yet give you the specs. Well, I can give you the specs of the Pixel 5, but I can't actually show you the benchmarks yet because of my embargo. So we can get to that in a little bit. But I'll pull up the mobile test here. We like to run this Slingshot Unlimited benchmark. Here, I'll pull this up so you can get a feel for where this falls in. So it actually, now granted, I don't test a lot of super high-end phones, but the 4XL here, that's this one, it is, it's up there. I mean, obviously the iPhone 11 Pro is much faster, and you can see, especially on the graphics performance, Apple just has, I hate to say it, they've got really good silicon and they're doing it well. But my big criticism of the Apple phones, and even these ones to some degree, is that I have not seen a compelling use case for all of this processing power that's in these phones, right? I mean, I would have probably been, my wife has the iPhone XS from 2 or 3 years ago. I had the 10. I held on to my 10 until they came out with the new camera on the 10s or 10 Pro or 11 Pro, whatever it is. I don't even know what phone I have. Because like there hasn't been a compelling software need to keep upgrading these phones. And I was all excited about the 11 Pro iPhone because of the 3 cameras and they have the wide angle lens. That's lacking on this camera, by the way. The super wide angle is awesome on the iPhone and any other Android phone that has it. But there was all this talk, all this processing power that we have in the phone. You're going to be able to take HD or 4K video out of 2 cameras at once. I'm still waiting for that app to come out. It hasn't gotten here yet. So, you know what I mean? Like you're buying last year's phone, but are you really missing anything? Getting last year's phone? I don't think so as much. It doesn't feel like that to me. I guess that radar thing doesn't work with the browser anymore. But you can see here just where it kind of falls into line. So it's faster than the iPhone 10, except in graphics performance. The iPhone 10 is still a little quicker, but you can kind of see where it falls in. So it is a decent phone. Now the Pixel 4a, here I'll select this here because this phone is the kind of the mid-range phone. The Pixel 4a is I think $299. So that's where it falls in. And this one, again, last year's phone, but still, it holds its own. You can see the difference there. And I'll tell you what, you'll be using the Pixel 4a and say, this is fine, So it's really a matter of what you want to do. And I would love to hear from some of you as to like, what, prove me wrong, convince me otherwise. What would be a better phone than this? Now, this doesn't, by the way, support 5G. And for me, that's fine because I don't have 5G where I live. So we're not going to get it for a while, probably. So, you know what I mean? So it's fine. Now you got some more questions coming in here. Let's take a look here. Eric Hubbard has the Pixel 4 XL, like this one, on Sprint, and received, wow, he got over 200 megabits per second on the cellular network. Yeah, so this will support, whatever the fastest LTE network you can throw at it, it's going to support. So it will do that. Bryant Mitchell forgot that it was Prime Day. Yeah, it's actually like Prime 2 days because it's today and tomorrow. So there's like 33 hours left. So I think this deal is going for the duration, but I think it's a good phone. Another comment here from Eric. Is 64 gigs on his version. Yes, so that's the only downside with these. And if I recall correctly, I don't think there's an SD card slot on this either. So you're kind of stuck with whatever storage you get. So I think the one that I'm linking to is the 64 gig version. Yeah. So there's 2 versions available. Here, I'll pull up this screen from Android Central, and I'll give you the rundown here as to what your options are. Now, what's changed since this post was made by Android Central is that the phones are now running Android 11. And so you'll get whatever the latest Android version is. And they also have 6 gigs of RAM. So, I think that's pretty good. And you'll get better battery life out of the XL because it does have a much larger battery. But those are the specs. A little higher resolution screen, but it's also running with a larger screen. So I think the points per inch probably wash out there. And that's your storage breakdown. But I've been using this phone a lot. So we do a lot of things involving Android here on the channel. So I'm often reaching for this phone to do a lot of that stuff. And I think it looks great. I love that white back on there. Now this also supports wireless charging. So you can use a wireless charger and just pop it on there. That works. In fact, I just charged this up in between streams on my wireless charger, so that worked. That worked great. Interactive DNA, who's got some ideas for me on live streaming, also has some feedback here. He says the Android OS is great for showing on the screen, uses a tablet showing applications I built. iOS, you need an HDMI cable and a capture card. Open source rocks when you know how to use it. You know what I've been using, though, Interactive DNA on iOS, which is not on Android, is the NDI Broadcaster app. Have you played with that? So that's an app, I think it's free right now. You can download it. It's not for Android yet. They did have like some NDI apps for Android previously, but they disappeared for some reason. But what it'll do is it'll put your iPhone screen out on the network and you can pull it in over NDI. And I use that a lot for demoing stuff on my iPhone. In fact, when I play with the Oculus Quest tomorrow, we're likely going to use the stream to your phone thing and then have NDI from the iPhone bring it over. Because I don't think, I'll check the store, so I don't think they have NDI on this one yet. Let's take a look. There was an NDI camera for a while, but it disappeared. Yeah, there's an NDI viewer, but there is not an NDI camera yet. So we'll have to take a look at that. Eric is saying, yeah, no SD card slot, and he's down to 9 gigabytes free. Yeah, you got to manage the storage a little bit on these. The new phones are a little more generous with their storage. I want to say the Pixel 4a is 128 on it. I think that's what it has. Let me check my 4a real quick. Now this, by the way, this doesn't have a fingerprint reader. So that's the only thing that I would, at this point, because of our mask situation, I am very frustrated with my iPhone because I have to continually unlock it with the password. And so you'll have a similar issue with this because it only does face recognition. There's no fingerprint reader. However, the Pixel 5 fingerprint reader, they went back. So they got rid of the, I think it still does facial recognition, but it doesn't do that. Technology wants to know, how much is the 4a and where can I get it? Well, you can head over to Amazon. In fact, on my link, I have the 4a listed here with all the other phones we're looking at, I think, because maybe I didn't put it on there. I'm just looking here. Hang on. Let's take a look. Yeah, if you go over to Amazon, they have it there. And you can see my review on Amazon, too. Just click on the link. And in full disclosure, it's an affiliate link in the YouTube chat. But it'll take you right over, and you can find a Pixel 4a there. 4a is nice, but this is nicer. So again, like this one, here, I'll pull that benchmark back up again, just to give you an idea as to where everything falls in. The Pixel 4a is going to give you about half the performance of the Pixel 4. And the 4XL has the same processor as the regular 4, so if you buy the big one or the little one, it's going to be the same. The screen resolution is a little better on the bigger one, but it's also got a larger screen, so I think it'll look the same. But that gives you a good idea. This is the by the way, this is the 3D Mark slingshot test, which we use to kind of get a ballpark. And what's nice about this test is that it works the GPU through the graphics test, and it also works the CPU through the physics tests here. So you get a good, well-rounded score to figure out like where these phones, how these phones compare to each other. And check out like the iPad Pro 11, and this is not the current one. And this is my point, is that these mobile chips are so fast, but nobody's like, I'm waiting for somebody to tell me like what's the best way I could demo this stuff, right? It just doesn't exist. I cannot find something that can make use of all the horsepower here. So even though this is not like a current generation kind of thing, it's still up there. I mean, it's still really a good performer. So let's take a look. Let's just have her do something so you can see how this works. I'm going to grab the 3D Mark test again, and we'll just run that real quick just so you can see how that works. So let's type in 3D, and you can do like this swiping thing with the keyboard. And I got to go into the Play Store, so let's do that real quick. So we'll just go like this. And what's cool about and you can do this on the iPhone now too, of course, but you can just go like that, and it just kind of gets what you're looking to type in. Oh, I do have it on here. So this is the slingshot test, and I'll just run this one. So this one will actually show you a little graphic demo, so you can get a feel for. And this is going to render all in real time. So this is running, you can't see it, but it's running at about 170, 180 frames per second. Actually, it's beyond 200 now, 250, 260, 280, 300. Actually, that's the frame number. It's running at about 50, 55, 60 frames per second. And this is running, I think, at 1080p, just to give you a sense of that. And here's a good question that I don't know the answer to, which is, can you still get unlimited photos or Google One on Pixel 4? Let me look up on Amazon and see what they're saying there, because that's right, because they used to give you like unlimited photo storage. That may not be the case anymore, but let's take a look and see what the deal is. Yeah, so this phone is $549 for the big one, and then the little one is selling for, oh, it was selling, $612. So what's the difference here? Why is that one less? $549 for the big one, just get that one. These are unlocked. Oh, I forgot to mention this. These are unlocked. So you get, you can use it on any carrier here in the US. So let me go through the photo section here and see. I'm just seeing if they still offer that. I don't think they are offering that now. And this score is different because this is a different test than what we ran before. Because I think this ran at a higher resolution than the test that we run on everything. Let's see if they're offering that. Yeah, I don't think they are offering that right now. So yeah, I don't think you're going to get the deal on this one. Although I'm pretty sure, just as part of the deal, the low-res photos on Google Photos are always covered. So you should have that. Bryant Mitchell says, wait, no fingerprint. Yeah, there's no fingerprint on this one, unfortunately. So you have to unlock with the password. The Pixel 5, this is it here. The Pixel 5 does have the fingerprint sensor, and the Pixel 4a also has it. They're both on the back. But this one, no fingerprint sensor. And it wasn't as big of a deal before the mask, or the mask thing, but now it's a big deal. So that's that. Oh, Danny G says that the iPhone now has an alternate face recognition. I haven't tried it, but maybe if you take one with your mask on, it'll work. I'm going to try that. Yeah, because it's been a real pain. And just for an example, I was picking up my daughter at school today. We have to all have our masks on, of course. And every time my phone's going, I got to go in with the whole thing. It's a real hassle. So yeah, that's going to be something that they'll have to explore, I think, to make things better. So that's the one thing you got to be aware of with this one. No fingerprint sensor on this one here. And BB Garnett, by the way, his handle here says he's totally not a bot, because every time he would leave a comment, it would put him in the spam bucket. One thing he doesn't like about his OnePlus 7 is that the facial recognition works with his mask on. Interesting. Yeah, and it's a matter of like how many data points they're looking for. And I think it's a trade-off. You know, if you just look from the eyes upward, there's less data points than the whole face, right? So that's a problem. And you can't, I guess if you had the same mask on every time, you might be able to set a data point based on the mask you're wearing, but you probably don't wear the same mask every day, or if you can't get the one that you had when you toss them out. So that's something there. Sally's been using the Pixel 4 XL for a couple of months, loves the photos and the night shot. Yeah, I think the photos are really, they're really good on this. And that's been the big thing that I've liked. Even though it doesn't have all the cameras that the iPhone and the Samsung Galaxy phones have, what Google has going for them is that they're really good at computational photography. So they're able to draw details out, that you wouldn't otherwise get. And I found, like, when you're taking photos of inanimate objects, it does a better job in portrait mode with those. So for example, I'm going to take a quick picture here. Let's see if I can get this up on screen. So we'll kind of do this shot of this game controller here. Now the camera already has, optically, just based on the lens they chose, the camera already gets some really good bokeh to begin with, even without the computational effects added. But we can take a quick picture here, and we'll just jump in and look at it. And you can see, let's pull it up on my overhead view here. You can see just how clean that cut is there. It's just super sharp. And it's one of those things, like, you can go on these review sites and just see what, you can see what everyone's been, will nitpick this stuff to death. But I think from the standpoint of a consumer, I think it's probably going to be fine. And you can also make adjustments to the depth of field here in the photo view app here after you take the picture. So I could go in here and adjust the depth. So I could I can move this here and then make that a little less blurry. So you have some control after the fact as well. And you can see I'm moving the depth here around a little bit, so it's adjusting the blur. It may be hard to see on the Amazon stream. But as I go off of that controller there, it's putting the stick in the foreground. It's pretty cool. And if we zoom in here, you can see just the detail that it picks up. That's a handheld shot. Lots of nice detail. So it's a good camera. Now, what's interesting, if I'm not mistaken, the Pixel 4a only has a single camera, but the camera that it does have is the same as this one it has. So you get a good camera on the 4a, but you only get one camera. This you have two. And when you have two cameras, you will get better depth perception by the phone because it's able to compare two images to figure out what's in the foreground and what's in the background. And then Google's AI kind of takes over and does their thing with it. So it's better to have two lenses versus one. So that is definitely something to take a look at. Mega Man X4 says that the looks like the Comcast gigabit line is working quite nicely. Yeah, it's been a whole new world for me. The streams have been flawless. It's been good. I've really been enjoying having that. It's been really, really good. Vishal says that he's always preferred the Pixel cams compared to other cameras. And you know what's funny is that, if you look at the components that they use, a lot of times, you'll have the same camera sensor in this phone as you would in another phone, but it's a matter of what's happening computationally on that photo after it's taken. And that's become, I think, almost bigger than what photo sensor they choose. And that's, again, the advantage I think that you have with a Google phone or an Apple phone. Both Google and Apple are really, they're very aggressively approaching how to make these pictures work. And I'm just seeing what else I've got on my camera here that might be fun to look at. These are some pictures from last year. It's amazing how big the kids get, right? I mean, this is last year. This is when we could go out and do things. We had this would be the week, and maybe it'd be next week. We used to have this, we have it every year, this pumpkin festival downtown. It's so much fun. And the kids get to eat all sorts of cookies and get all wound up and all sorts of cool Halloween decorations. We're not doing any of that. We had they have like this witches dance. So we have a playhouse in town. And as you can see, sometimes you don't get the best shots here, right? So here it kind of focused on the background versus the foreground. And I took a lot of these pictures because this was in a lower light situation because we were approaching dusk here. But you can see it's still getting a lot of detail. But there's only so much you can do, right? Even with all this computational stuff, if you have fast movement, it's hard to track that down. This was in a restaurant, so it's my wife here with her. She still has her braces on. She was supposed to get her braces off this year. It hasn't happened yet. I'm not getting braces. But even like a low light scenario here, kind of a dark restaurant, no problem. Works great. Some of our friends' kids and stuff. I got to show you this picture. I'm sure their parents would be okay with this. It must have been it was on my other phone. He had put his arm around my daughter. It was kind of cute. Here's another one of those night shot photos. So again, it picks up, all you need is like a street light and you can get a lot of detail. And I'll show you the space ones again, because the astrophotography, because that's still, I think, my favorite feature of this phone. And this is something that I haven't seen other phones do nearly as well. Let me find that really good shot again. Again, you got to get this on a tripod in order to really make it work. But once it's locked on a tripod and you hit that astrophotography mode, it's amazing what it can do. And let's see if we can find that photo again. Just the one? That's one of them, but that's not it. Here they are. So here's the whole list of them that I did. Oh yeah, I didn't even show you this one yet. So, and what's crazy is when you zoom into these astrophotography photos, if it'll let me zoom in there. There we go. Look at the number of stars it picks up. Isn't that crazy? And this was just, I put it on a tripod, and you just got to get it, kind of locked down. And then you can choose how long to run the exposure for. So I think I did the longest exposure here. And I would suggest, again, a tripod, get one of those little mounts and stuff, but you want to make sure that it doesn't vibrate at all, or what you're putting it down on won't react to footsteps and stuff. So initially I had put it on my back, on my deck, but on the deck, when you're walking around, it will translate, your feet will shake the deck, and that will shake the camera. And it needs to be very, very still to get a good image out of it. So that's one of them that we got. This one was my favorite one. And here you can even pick up some color on the trees. Just trying to get this to, this is not the photo app, this is like the, there it goes. Isn't that cool? It just picks up some really cool images there. And Ken Driggers makes a really good point, and I'm in the opposite scenario right here. He's been rocking the Pixel 4 XL, but after Apple's event, he's seriously thinking of switching. The problem is I have an entire almost Google ecosystem. And that's the problem that I'm into, is that it's all of the accessory items. So for me, there's a bunch of Apple apps that I use. There's fewer that I use now than I used to, but there's still a couple that are really important to me, like OmniFocus and a few others. And so, and the Apple Watch. Like I don't feel as though, you may disagree, I don't feel as though there is an equivalent Apple Watch out there on the Android side. Because I'll tell you what, like after using this phone was the one that I said, you know what, I could switch to this and be happy. Because it really, I think the 90 hertz display makes the difference. Because it feels right, like it doesn't feel like it's trying to be something else. And I often felt like the Android phones that I looked at were good, but like it was lacking some polish, and this one had a lot of polish here. Now the Pixel 5, which again I can boot up, but I can't do more with right now because of the embargo. I think that embargo lifts tomorrow actually, so I might be able to do a little bit more with it. The Pixel 5, as you can see, and it just right now it's just the screen is dimmer at the moment just because it's not set higher, but you can see the Pixel 5 is going to make much more efficient use of the front of the phone. So you're not going to have this big thing up top. And this had the camera and also that radar system, which they got rid of. So the new phone is going to be much more efficient in its space. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's a larger Pixel 5, or am I wrong about that? But either way, you can see that the smaller phone here actually is the same size as the XL for the most part for screen real estate, because it doesn't have that big bump at the top. So that's going to be, I think, the big difference here. And then, of course, this one has a faster processor. But again, I don't see like if you can get, if you're price conscious and you want a flagship phone, you're going to be happy with this. I mean, it's fine. Just a little bit bigger and bulkier than the new one, which is this one. But otherwise, it's pretty similar. All right, here's a good. We got a developer here who's going to tell us some stuff here. Interactive DNA designs apps for both. The problem with Android OS is how the core software runs. That's why iOS will always shine above Android phones, but the price is a fraction of the. Yeah, so that is part of it. And Apple has a lot of APIs that you can dig into to get at the hardware more efficiently. So there's some development things there. But even with the Apple phones, like these phones, the new phone, the one they just announced today, that chip can run Mac OS 10. You could run your Mac on that phone. So why don't they do that? Give me like, I want this 12-inch MacBook that I can just dock my phone to and have it become the Mac. Then I would buy the new phone, right? So that's that. Bryant Mitchell here says that the fingerprints are much faster. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I liked the face unlock of this one and my iPhone initially, except for two things. One is, and this is the pre-COVID scenario. I'm driving my car. I want to load my podcast app. So in the past, I would issue a Siri command, and then it would ask me to unlock the phone, and I could just put my thumb down on the home button and it would unlock. I wouldn't have to look at it. iPhone 10, Face ID. Now that same command would require me to look at the phone while I'm driving. That I didn't like at all. And so I missed the fingerprint sensor there. And now with the COVID thing, I really miss it, because when I'm out and about, I can't unlock the phone without having to type my password in. And I don't like having to type passwords in out in public, because if I don't need to, right? So that's been something that, that I get there. Ken agrees with me on the watch. There's no equivalent in the Google ecosystem. And I've been, and I've been upgrading. So I had the original Apple Watch 0, which I kept for like 3 years. And then I went to the 4, Apple Watch 4. I went to that 2 years ago. And my reason for upgrading is whenever they have a new health sensor. So if there's a new health sensor, that's enough for me to upgrade. So I upgraded to the 4 for the EKG, and then I upgraded to the 6, which is what I have on now, because they added the pulse ox sensor, which has been interesting, although not accurate. And I'm going to talk about that when I do my review. So we'll take a look at that. Steve Erpenbeck asks, is the night sky feature a Google camera option or an Android option? So so the astrophotography mode is unique to the Pixel phones. And you will all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the only ones that support it are the Pixel 4, which is this one, which we just showed you the pictures from, the Pixel 5, which I have not reviewed yet because I'm under embargo, and then the Pixel 4. So these 3 support that, but it's not an Android feature. So be on the lookout for that. Here's another feature that I really like, and this is not unique to this phone, but it's super cool. Watch this. We're going to load up the recorder app here. Let me just start a new one. Okay, there we go. All right, so now I am talking, and look how accurate the recognition is of this thing. And I don't understand why this is so good and this, by the way, is doing this all on device. And it's not connecting out to the internet. It's not doing anything to get my voice going. It is strictly on device. And the accuracy here is better than my Google Voice voicemail. Why is that? Why is that? It's crazy. But it works, and it's so accurate. And I've been using this now and I actually take this phone out, and I use this for transcribing things. When I have to put up like a script or a transcription of something, I just put it up to my computer speaker, hit record, and it is 95% accurate most of the time. And you'll see also as I'm talking here, it's doing this with a little bit of subjective, or what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember what I was going to say, but it looks at what the sentence structure is, and so it's putting a little bit of its AI at work. So if it hears something, but it sees that this other word would work better in the sentence, it's probably going to be that word versus the other one. But you can see as I'm talking even faster here, it's pretty good at keeping everything fairly accurate as it's going through all blah, 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 right? So, and it tried there, but it got, yeah. So there you go. It's crazy good. I mean, it's really, really good. Look how good this is. And then I can pause it, and then I could save it. So if I save this, so you can see we've got this here. And then if I go, and if you're a reporter, like how great is this, right? Because not only does it keep the transcript, and I turn the volume up here, and look how accurate the recognition is of this thing. And I don't understand why this is so good and this, by the way, is doing this all on device. And it's not connecting out to the internet. It's not doing anything to get my voice going. It is strictly on device. And the accuracy here... Isn't that cool? So then, watch this. I could then jump to any word. So let's say, like, I'm going to click on the word subjective. Subjective, or what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember what I was going to say. But it looks at what the sentence structure is. And so it's putting a little bit of its AI at work. Isn't that great? Now, this works... this is a Google feature, and it works on this phone, the Pixel 3a, I think the Pixel 3, the 4 and the 4a, and I'm sure it'll work on the 5. And it's wonderful. It's really, really good. So this is like the kind of thing that I actually take this phone out for to use, because there's nothing like it on my iPhone. Like I could have it do the recognition on the iPhone, not as good. I mean, it is amazingly good. And what's crazy, again, is that the recognition in this app is better than everything else that Google does. Because I get these Google voicemail things, and like, especially when my father calls me, it's like the weirdest like text I've ever seen. And it's nothing, it's like, it sounds like what he said, but the words are totally off. and it's just amazingly good. So give me a second here. I'm just going to have that display stop going to sleep here. So yeah, it's pretty decent. So Brian here asks, do I think I will do a comparison between the 4a 5G and the Pixel 5? Yeah, I didn't get in the 4a 5G, although some folks are saying the 4a 5G might be as good as the other one. And actually what I did notice about the new 5, which again I have right here, and I should also mention to you all, just because I have to continually do this for compliance, is that all of these phones came in free of charge from Google. So this is the Pixel 5, this is the 4a. They are exactly the same size. So it looks like they kind of made their production facilities more efficient. And so they're putting the faster phone in the same case as the slower one. And the camera bump is a little bit bigger, but other than that, they're like almost exactly the same size. So if I get in the 5G 4a, then I'll definitely take a look at it. The problem that I have is that where I live, I don't have 5G at all. I think they're starting to put it in down the street, and I'm going to see if I can get kind of attached to that network. The good thing with all the Pixel phones is that they are unlocked, so it will work on all the US carriers. So I had this, I initially tested it with Verizon, because I just put my iPhone SIM card in here. That worked. And then I tried out the Google has their own phone service called Google, is it Google Fi? Whatever they call it, Google Fi. I think that's what they call it, right? I plugged in, I used their service also, and it has an eSIM, if I'm not mistaken, and a regular SIM. So you can use 2 networks with it, I believe, if you switch between them in the settings. So you can use this internationally as well. Sally in the Amazon chat says there's a special chip on the phone that does local translate, and that's why the phone and Google devices do faster at the translating. So there you go. And I would bet that they're probably using that chip for other stuff too. Let me see what other Pixel apps there are specific to this phone. And that's the other thing, like if there's going to be some, if there's going to be something like cool that Google's doing with Android, it's going to be done on the Pixel phones first. So those are the things to keep in mind. Let me see what they've got here. Pixel phone exclusives. Android 11 features that are exclusive. Oh, perfect. This is a good article to Google phones. So all right, so they have live view of your friends when they're looking for you. Smart reply, Google Pixels, keyboard, da-da-da. Not a lot there. There's a couple features here and there. Like I said, you'll get all the new features when they put them into place on this one. So tomorrow is, this is a good question from Tomorrow's Sphere, who was on earlier. What is the support date? That is a great question. So let's find out. Pixel 4. Okay, so here is the support dates. This is actually a very good question. The minimum support periods, and they could extend this, but they could choose not to. So the Pixel 4 is guaranteed through October 2022. So you have 2 years. If I am not mistaken, the phone, the Google phone, Pixel phones are guaranteed to be updated for 3 years. I think that's the lifespan that they have. I'll check on Pixel 5 here and see what that one is. Yeah, so the Pixel 5 is 2023. So one consideration might be that. Although right now you can get the phone for $350 less than what the 5 will cost you. So that's something to think about. And of note is that the Pixel 4a, which is the new phone that just came out for the lower end of the market, is also 2023. So there you go. Yeah, I have a very busy week ahead because we got in the Oculus Quest. We got to unbox that. I'll probably do that tomorrow. I got to start working on the review for this thing. We got Prime Day going on. It's been a very busy week, but that's okay. It's good to be busy. Let me see what other questions we got here. Alberto de Silva brings up a good point. And this is another reason why I'm mostly iPhone. Now, let me pull up the specs on on the Pixel 4 XL. So the one thing, and I agree with this completely, the one thing that I also noticed with the camera on this, and I'm just double checking my specs, yeah. So this will record 4K video, and the video will look fine, but the max is 30 frames per second at 4K, whereas the iPhone does 60 on the Pro. And I think the 10 was doing 60 also. They've been doing 60 for a while on the iPhone at 4K. And the video quality, the image quality of the video on the iPhone, in my opinion, is much better. I think Apple does probably the best video out there. And I use this phone a lot for the B-roll shots that you see on the channel because the video is spectacular out of this thing. And it has a really good stabilizer built in. This does have an optical stabilizer. So you will get some of the stabilization, but again, the video quality is not as good as the photo quality. And that comes back to what I was saying before, is that the Google phones, and the Apple phones too to a degree, rely a lot on computational photography. And this might be an area where the iPhone's faster processors do have some advantages in that they can process that video in real time due to the fact that they've got more resources available on chip. And that could be partly why these phones don't do as well on the video side. And let me see, I'm just going to look up this Google One thing. I just want to see if there is any advantages to the Pixel 4 right now. I'm guessing they're not going to incentivize Google One on these devices. Yes, I don't think I got any boost in my storage. Let me double check that. So Google One, Pixel 4. And we'll just double check that real quick. Yes, so the Pixel 4 came with a trial, right? So that was the deal. This version of the phone was the first one where they didn't give you the service as part of it. And I don't think you're going to see that on the Pixel 5 either. What it is these become the entry points, right? So just like with some of the Amazon equipment, you know, with the Fire TVs and everything, the price is affordable. So, you know, this is very affordable today because it's on sale. But that's the deal. Like, you're going to get in the door with the phone, and then they'll lock you into the services. And as we're finding through you know, some of our viewers here, they're kind of locked into the ecosystem, right? You get all your stuff on Google, you don't want to leave it. So that's it. Russell's asking about my thought on IFTTT's Pro subscription. Yeah, I got to do something about this. I keep getting emailed. I really rely on IFTTT, and I have to now, like, I got to pay for another thing. So I'm already paying for a Zapier account because I have found some real value to Zapier because I can do multiple things, which I guess now IFTTT lets you do. So I've got to go through what I'm doing on Zapier and see, because there's things that IFTTT does that Zapier doesn't do and vice versa. So I got to figure out what's working best for me because I'm paying for Zapier. And that's what distributes my content out for me. So it's a good service for me, but I don't want to have both. So I got to figure it out. Interactive DNA, check this out, did a whole commercial on an iPhone 5 and no complaints. It played on TV and they loved it. So it's all about how to use the gears. And he's right about that. I mean, you could certainly use either one. I have seen, though, like, because the way I look at it is, I'm not going to do a lot of post-production work on videos of my kids around the house, and I found that those videos look better on the iPhone than they do on the Google Pixel. But I haven't tried the 5 yet, so the 5 could change my mind. We'll see, because the 5 might have a little better video. We'll have to see what happens. So there, and Eric has a point about, right, so Apple's building actual hardware accelerators. You're right. It's on the chip, but it's not the processor processing it. And it's hard to compare apples and Googles and apples and oranges. But that's a good point. And I think that's why I'm so excited for the A14 chip on the Mac, because I would love a 12-inch MacBook like this little guy, which is sadly discontinued, with one of those ARM chips in there. If I could edit 4K video on this little thing, it'd be awesome. Granted, I don't go anywhere anymore, but if I did, we'll have to see what happens there. So Alberto da Silva brings up another point about the headphone jack. So at least this one has, does this have one? No, they took it off, right? So the Pixel 4 does not have a headphone jack. None here, none on the bottom. So you do have a USB-C port, so you can use that, but there is no headphone jack. Oddly, this is so weird because if you look at the Pixel 4a, it does. And then you look at the Pixel 5, no headphone jack. It's just like you would think that it would cost more to put a headphone jack in on a phone. And I'm guessing there's always good research for this kind of stuff. And my guess is that their product research said that people who buy a $300 phone need the headphone jack. And those who don't, who buy the higher end phones, don't need it. I think that's what their market research told them. Because by excluding the headphone jack, you save millions of dollars because you don't have to put it in. It's one less thing. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, for some folks, as Bryant Mitchell here says, deal breaker. No headphone jack, deal breaker. And I had a hard time initially with the iPhone when they got rid of the headphone jack because I had to remember to bring yet another dongle around with me. There are some really low-cost USB-C to headphone dongles you can get, but you got to remember to take it with you, and then you lose it. And I've lost mine like 2 or 3 times now, so that's a problem. So yeah, that's a hassle. And then when the AirPods came out, then I was fine because I love the AirPods. They've been great. So that was awesome. D. Tabab wants to know. I cannot do this now, but maybe we'll look at doing this in the future because my Chromebook is upstairs and my daughter's using it at the moment. Compatibility between the Chromebooks and the Pixel phones. Yeah, I think there's some synergies there. I got to play around with that a little bit. I don't have a Chromebook handy. I could try to grab it upstairs and see. I'd have to research that a bit because I haven't done much with that. So let me know what you'd like to see. Maybe we can do that before we wrap up. So I do have that upstairs. So let me look and see what we can do with that. And what's interesting about these phones is that when you get one, the features become more plentiful as time goes on, right? So you see more things added onto them later. Brian has a good question about Windows ARM. So that's going to be big, I think. And I haven't reviewed it yet, and I need to contact them because I want to hang on to it until that happens. Because I do have the Lenovo ARM computer here, and I was not blown away by it, you know. But I feel like there's more to come with Windows ARM, so we'll have to see what we do there. Eric brings up a point. Why do manufacturers insist on headphone jacks only on their mid-range phones? I have no idea. I don't get it either. It's just weird, right? If you can put it on the mid-range phone, why not put it on the bigger one? So there, you know, it's a mystery of life. Here, I'll load up a little game here. Let's load up. What do I got for games here? Let's try. Can we get Fortnite on here? I think I have Fortnite on here. I may have taken it off already. See, Fortnite makes you go through this whole process of side loading, right? Because of the Epic Games app. So download so hit OK here. And we're going to open that and side load it. And then I've got to go in and give Chrome the ability to side load apps. I have to say this much. They have made the side loading process a lot easier than it used to be. So that is good. And then we can pop into the Epic Games Store here. And we'll hit install. I'll let that download real quick. I have a pretty quick connection now, as many of you know, so it shouldn't take too long. And we can pop that in there and play a little Fortnite and see how it works. And Alberto brings up also, yeah, that was what we were talking about before with the Google One. You used to get, if you bought a Pixel phone, you would get, you know, your photos for life, full quality. Now you don't get that without paying. All right, for your security, your phone is not allowed, so we got to go back to settings here and also allow that. And we'll install Fortnite. So yeah, like I said, I haven't really found anything about this phone that feels like a compromise. It feels like a flagship. Sally wants to know if I'm going to get the new Apple phone in for testing. I'm going to take a look at it. I won't get one from Apple. They don't send me phones. And I'd be happy to review them on loan for sure. But I'm going to look at the feature set and see if there's a reason for me to consider buying one. If there is, then I'll get one, and that'll be my phone. But you know, like I said, like I was looking at it today, I'm like, just briefly, I said, there's nothing there all that compelling to me beyond the A14 processor. But even then, you know, there's not a, I don't really see a compelling reason to upgrade, if that makes sense. So bear with me for 1 second. I got to grab my password here. I think I have LastPass on here. I use LastPass for my password manager, and I love it. And what's nice about LastPass is that it integrates really nicely with Android. So when you try to log into a site that you haven't been on in a while, it'll just integrate with your password manager. So I'm just going to pop into my LastPass real quick, and then I've got to do my two-factor authentication. And we'll do that. And I had to lean over to get my phone to pick up my face, my iPhone, because that's where my two-factor stuff lives. And then I got to get going in a few minutes because my wife made ribs tonight on the slow cooker. Bear with me for 1 second. Let's see. Oh, they changed. The number changed. Right. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we'll go back to Epic here. And where is my password manager? Oops. Give me 1 second. I got to just grab the password from here. They don't make it easy, even with the password manager sometimes, right? So let's grab, there we go. I'm going to copy the password. And what's really nice too is that the motions to move around this phone are very similar to my iPhone. So it was, when I started playing with this phone, it didn't feel any different to me, if that makes sense. Like, it felt very natural. It's almost like we developed a common language for how to interact with our phones. All right, we're logging in now. I may have the two-factor CAPTCHA challenge and go through that. Okay, hang on. Now I got my two-factor again, so let's do that one. Okay, that's... Sorry, folks, I'm just logging into this account here. And I have two-factor on everything that I can put it on. And if you don't do two-factor on everything you can put it on, you should do everything, because it's good to be secure. All right, and you know what I'm going to do too? We're going to attach the phone up to Ethernet here and get that download quicker. So let me grab my, so I have a little Ethernet dongle here that is plugged in. And you can do that on this USB-C port, I believe. So let me just double check and make sure I'm on Ethernet. So I'll show you network and internet. I guess it didn't detect it. Plug it in again. Here I was going to be all cool and plug in an Ethernet adapter and show you how it works, but there it goes. Now we're on. Although, I don't know if it is actually connecting to Ethernet or if it's just recognizing that it's there. Let me turn the Wi-Fi off real quick. Huh. Well then. Well, the Ethernet did connect, but it wasn't detecting it. Maybe it's using it and I'm not seeing it. Okay, so we'll download this real quick. And one of the problems when you're downloading like a game like this game like Fortnite, you got to have the app stay at the forefront here for it to work. Yeah, the Ethernet's not working. Okay. Well, we tried. We got to find the compatible Ethernet adapter. So Ken Driggers did a deep dive into the USB-C DACs, and it was a nightmare. Ended up going with Apple's DAC, and I did this for a second DAC. It's probably me. Yeah, I got one. Actually, you know what? I did buy Apple's. I got the Apple USB-C to headphone jack, and I'm using that with my Oculus Quest. So that's been good. And Eric has an observation about, yeah, the Pixel phones, I think they're a good value. They're not that expensive, especially now. Like this one I think is a good deal. Kathleen Walters wants to know, is it easy to transfer items from the present phone? And I think and that's one of those things, it depends. So if you have an existing Android phone, it's pretty seamless because it's tied to your Google account. It should just go through. You may need to, depending on which phone you have, you'll want to go in and have Google back up the phone, and that's in your settings. There should be a backup section there. I gotta let this thing download, otherwise I'd show you. So you back up to Google, and then when you get the new phone, it can bring everything onto your phone from the other one, including all the apps and the position of everything. So it shouldn't be too hard. It's a little harder if you are going from an iPhone. I'm pretty sure that they have let me look this up. I think both Apple and Google have apps to assist you in moving your contacts over. Let's see, I'm just looking up some things on Google here for you right now. Yeah, so android.com/switch. And if you're on an iPhone, they will guide you through the process here. I'll pull up this screen here. You can switch to Android. It's easy. And you can connect to Wi-Fi. It's fully charged for your iPhone and Android device, connect to Wi-Fi, get Google Drive. Okay, so they want you to go through Google, back up your stuff. So they walk you through the whole process here on your iPhone and then on your new phone. And then you can get going. And then, of course, Apple will help you go the other way. So I think you should be able to do that. And if you're already on Android, let me see, let me look that up real quick. Let's look up how to do that. Yeah, here's some help on the Google site here. And here's a little guide on that. And I'm sure some of the viewers in the chat might be able to offer some stuff. And again, just using the backup feature. So system backup. And that should be on most phones. Just be sure, though, that when you go to do the backup, every phone maker has like their own backup thing, and your carrier might have some backup thing. You want to make sure the one you're using is the Google backup, and you need to go into your settings to find that. Now, if I went into settings on this phone, it'll be in a different place than it might be on your phone. And that's just because everyone who makes Android phones does a little bit of a different thing to make it their own. So you may run into that a little bit. But if you can go in through the Android backup process to Google, that will get everything brought over. And you should be able to find that. And Eric brings up that there's no easy way. Yeah, I think, I've done, now I look at a lot of Android devices here, so I often do the backup to bring things over. So it's carrying over a lot of the data. But he's saying here that there's no easy way to transfer app data between devices. So that's interesting. Yeah, because on the Apple side, it's like when I get a new Apple phone, everything's in iCloud. It just, 10 minutes and it's back to where it was. All right, we're just waiting on this download. We'll play a little game, and then I gotta jet out. It's doing all the installs right now. So we'll check that out. But yeah, this is a good phone. I think it's attractive. I like this is the white one. And this is the XL. And the non-XL is a little bit smaller. This is the 4A, but it gives you an idea as to the size here. Like this would be more about what you would get on the non-XL version. Although I'm pretty sure, let me double check. I think there's only one size for the Pixel 5. And it's because they got the bezels down to a point where I'm just looking through here to see what the options are. Because I don't think there's an XL size phone. Yeah, so there's just one size. But again, like this is the Pixel 5, and you can see the Pixel 5 its screen fits into the same space as as the 4 completely. It's a little bit narrower. It's not as wide. But this is the Pixel 5, and you get in the screen is just about as big as the entire Pixel 4 XL screen. And we'll let that finish up there. Tomorrow's Sphere is running, what version of Android is it running? So this one, just actually right before I started streaming, we upgraded it to Android 11. And it will be supported for another 2 years. You have until October of 2022 on this, and you'll keep getting Android updates. So I would expect you to probably go to Android 13 on this before they cut support. And Steve Murray's saying that with the Pixel phones, with the Google phones, you can do a cable transfer from phone to phones. He went from the Nexus 5 to a 3A. So your mileage will vary based on what phone you're coming from or to. But one of the things that I've noticed is that the company that makes the operating system tends to do better with the hardware and software being integrated. And one of the laptops we're getting this week is a Microsoft laptop. That's also coming. I forgot about that. The new Microsoft Surface Go laptop is coming here. And I expect that one to be a very nice, fluid experience with Windows because they make the OS and the hardware itself. So let's let that finish downloading, and we'll play a quick little round of Fortnite, and then I got to call it quits. Aaron Johnson wants to know, can Android be updated to the current version on older phones? So if it's in the support window, it can. I think the Pixel... we know the Pixel 3 is still supported. Let's see if the Pixel 2 is able to get it. Yes, so it looks like the Pixel 2 and up. Yeah, so here's the current support of the Pixel line. So Android 11 OTAs are available for Pixel 4a, 4, which we have, 3a, 3a XL, 3, 3XL, 2, and 2XL. And they should say 4XL also because this is a 4XL and it just got Android 11. So yes, you can, if you have a Pixel 2 or higher, get Android 11. All right, so let's take a look and see how this works here. The phone's definitely a little warm because it's been installing the app here. But one of the things about the larger screen that's nice is that it does, you can see, I found like with the smaller screen phones, you sometimes can't see everything because your fingers are blocking the screen. Okay, it wants me to look around. So there you go. So yeah, maybe it might be a little bit smoother on the new one, but, or you might get a little bit more graphical fidelity. It wants me to crouch through the opening. There we go. Use the harvester. Oh, is that what that is? They call it the harvester, huh? Shows what I know. Oops. Shoots at targets using the fire button. Okay, there we go. So I'm not used to playing this on mobile. I'm more of a PC gamer myself. But it does seem to work. Hang on a second. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any good questions here. Move your way to the next marker. Where is the marker? Over there. Okay. Watch out, you lost health. Okay. Defend yourself. So yeah, there you go. You get an idea. I mean, you could play everything in the App Store with this, no problem. And again, the reason, and I talk about this all the time, the reason why it can play everything is that they typically target the lowest powered phones in the App Store here, right? So now let me see what the video options are on here, because this might be of interest to some people. Because this will give us an idea as to like what graphic settings it supports. I gotta get through all the advertising here just to get to the, all right. So let's go into these settings real quick, because I think there's some video settings you can do on here. Okay, so it is setting it at 30 frames per second. And 3D resolution's at 75%. And I can put the frames per second on here. Let's turn that on. Now leave all the settings, leave the other settings the same there. Let's jump into a game and see what we get. But again, I think if you're looking for a good deal on a Pixel 4, today's the day. It's Prime Day. And we're going to be back on tomorrow with some more streams. I'm going to take a look around and see what else is for sale. I might mess around a little bit with the, because I've been meaning to do a video on the some more advanced topics of the Fire TV stick. So I might play around with that a little bit. So it's running at about 30 frames per second here. It dips down a little bit here and there, but I don't think you're going to get to 60 at these graphic settings. And the other thing I like about the phone is the sound quality is pretty good too. Now this is a 90 hertz display, of course, but I think you'd have to turn the resolution down significantly to hit that. And in fairness, you'd have to turn it down significantly on a PC, depending on your PC configuration, to hit 90 also. And we did a full review of this, so if you're on Amazon, on the product page, you'll see my review above the comment section, or the review section. And if you're on YouTube, you can go to my YouTube channel and watch there. But I like the Pixel phones. I've always liked them. I think they're a good value. They don't have all the marketing muscle behind them like like you see out of the Samsung phones, but it's a true interpretation of what Google wants Android to be. And if you want the operating system to run the best, I think the Google phones are where you're going to see that. And I'm really eager to try out the Pixel 5 because, again, the one knock against this phone was that they didn't go with the super high-end Qualcomm processor. So I think we'll see something like Fortnite run a little better on the Qualcomm, or on the new Pixel 5 versus this one, just because I think it's going to have, they did up the processor, which I think was the big complaint from this model year. I'm just going to get myself eliminated here. I don't think I've picked up a weapon yet. I got to find something here before I get blown up. Typically, when I play this game, I last about five seconds. Although I did find that if I hide, I can get you. Yeah, there we go. If I hide, usually what I do is I just hide the whole time, and then I'm like number 5. I found that works pretty good. This might be kind of fun just to see what it's capable of. But it's a good phone. Like I said, good phone. No complaints with it. So there you go. Alberto got a big battery. So his phone will be going for a long time there. Steve Murray's phone got Android 11 updated the day after release. Yeah, so you'll get it like right away. So if you really want to keep up to date on it. And I'll be honest though, I didn't see like a huge difference in the operation of this phone on 11 versus 10. But you'll get it quickly, certainly much quicker with the Google phone, because they're gonna spend time making sure their phones are getting it first before other manufacturers do. Yeah, so good stuff. So I would love for you all to, if you see anything on Prime Day that's of interest to you, email me. Maybe I have it here. So I've been trying to find things to stream about that are relevant to what's currently on sale. So that's what we've been kind of doing here. And there's a lot of live streams going on. I'm just looking at the list. There's like miles of them. And I forgot to title this. No wonder why I'm not getting a lot of traffic. I forgot to title this as a Google Pixel 4 stream. So I'll have to adjust the name of this. Let me go back and adjust the name. Yeah, why didn't I do that? I guess I can't change the name while it's in progress. So there you go. All right, so let's get out of here. But yeah, it's a solid smartphone. I like it a lot. Okay, well, everybody, like I said, I just wanted to point this out because I think it's got to, you know, if you don't mind getting last year's phone, I think this is a good price. So right now it is on Amazon $549 for the regular Pixel 4, and the XL is actually there's one XL for like $409 right now. So these things are really at a good price. The deal of the day, I think that other one is I think refurbished. That might be why it's so inexpensive. But the new 4XL is $649. So that's this phone, $649. You know, for a flagship, not a bad deal. So there you go. All right, everybody. Well, my phone is ringing already, my other phone. I got people looking for me. I got to take some calls. And I will be back again tomorrow. So I think what we'll do probably in the morning tomorrow is I'll get the Oculus Quest kind of out of the box and we'll start figuring out how it works. And then in the afternoon, we'll do some advanced topics as Prime Day wraps up. We'll look at some advanced topics related to the Fire Stick. So I think that's what we're going to do. And yeah, this was fun. Just, I thought I'd pop on. It's a good deal. Get a good deal. Why not? So cool. All right. Well, everybody, I am going to go and return my phone calls. And then we're going to have some dinner here and get the kids to bed. And I will be back soon. If I have the energy, I might, and that's a big might pop on and do the Oculus Quest unboxing. But I think I'll probably do that tomorrow. And we'll go from there. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in. Again, I'm just popping on randomly just to find some deals for you all. So Pixel 4 on sale, $350 off. Good deal. So check it out. All right, everybody. I will talk to you all very soon. And stay happy, stay healthy, and check out some Prime Day deals if you don't mind. Okay? Talk to you in a little bit. We'll be back on in a little while. Bye-bye.